Okay, Jade here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm not sure if this is going to be an attachment to another video or just its own section, so pardon the introduction again, but welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet a pouch for either a tarot deck or an oracle deck, whatever you like. This is actually a knit. You may notice this is knit. This is crochet back here. The only reason I'm showing you the knit one, and I am going to do a video tutorial for the knit one as well, but the first thing you need to do is decide what style you want. So do you want the opening to be, or do you want it to be an envelope style like this, where the opening is at along the side of the deck? Or do you want it to be, do you want to insert the deck vertically into the pouch? So you want the opening to be along the short side of the cards. So originally I was showing you one, assuming this is attached to the previous video, I was showing you these two yarns, and that is for a pouch that I'm going to make for my Raven's Prophecy deck. But because I was starting with a dark yarn, it was kind of hard for you to see what I was doing. So I'm gonna just put this aside for now, and I've gotten a different yarn out, and the yarn I got is this one here. So it's a color changing, nice bright colors. You know, and it changes colors on its own, so I don't need to swap yarn. So this, you will notice, is a thicker yarn. Actually, if I get the other one back, you can see there. So this is a fingering weight or a sock weight, and this is a worsted weight yarn. So if you're buying yarn, so for my oracle decks, I prefer to use the thicker yarns. There's actually even thicker yarn than this, but I find them a bit too bulky. But I do like the cushiness factor that you get. I just feel like it's more protective. This one here, I actually doubled the, it is effectively a worsted weight because I just held two fingering weights double. So you do you can choose whatever size you want. I'm going to assume in this video that you have some basic crochet skills, but just in case you don't, and so if you need more, actually I should say, if you need any more details in terms of, you know, how to do a slip knot, how to chain, how to do single crochet or double crochet, or any of the stitches that we do, please let me know, and I can certainly either try to help you or guide you towards another video. But so this is the yarn that I'm using, and you want to make sure that you use a crochet hook that's suitable for the yarn that you're using. Now what I do is, because I want, actually I'm just going to show this one, because I want the fabric to be a little bit denser than it would be if I was making, you know, a sweater or a scarf or a hat or something. I don't want the holes to be very large. Like for example, this would not, you know, this fabric here, the holes are very large. You could stick your fingers in. That wouldn't be very protective of my deck. So for that purpose, because I do want the slightly denser fabric, I am using a smaller hook than what would be called for this yarn. So how do you check that? So you can either get yarn in a ball like this, or you can also get it in a hank like this. Let me zoom out a bit. And yes, I am using a Kleenex box for my stand today. Apologies for that, but anyway, in any case, on the label It'll tell you what the yarn is, how much you have. This is, you know, enough to to make several decks. There's a number here, so 4 is worsted weight, and you want to look. There's either a little diagram, like you'll find here, or it's just written down. So in this case, it's just written. So it says 4 to 5 stitches equals 1 inch on number 6 to number 9, or 4 to 6.5 millimeter needles if you're using knitting needles, or SC single chain on 5.5 to 6.5 millimeter hooks. Sometimes it doesn't give the crochet size, like here it only is giving the knitting needle size, and that's fine. You can start with those. You can start with that size of crochet hook, and then see how the fabric is. And you're in charge of. You're the boss of your own knitting or crocheting, so you choose what you want, and it's just important to get a fabric that you like. So I have discovered that I get a nice dense fabric that is not too dense if I use a 4 millimeter crochet hook with my worsted weight yarn. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing you need to do, so in this tutorial, what I'm going to do is show you how to, I'm basically going to give you a recipe for making your own crochet pouch that's going to be tailored to your specific deck. Okay, so you need your deck. Okay, and for the purposes of this video, I'm going to, that's upside down. Zoom out a bit. So low tech. I'm going to be making a pouch for my romantic tarot. Okay, and I just thought that would be nice and bright. So you're gonna need the deck. Okay, I'm just gonna lay that there. I'm going to let's move that out of the way, actually. I like to start from the middle, and so the middle of the ball, I should say. So there's this technical term for this is yarn barf, but you can see there's only a single strand leading to this, so the end is in here. It's not the orange. There it is there. Don't worry about this, it's not tangled, it just comes in. Actually, you can see it's wound, so it's fine. Okay, you start with a slip knot as per usual. All right, I'm gonna zoom in here. I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I'm going to assume that you do have some basic crochet skills. So slip knot and start making a chain. When I do this, I actually do the chain and the foundation row together, but I don't want to confuse people, so I'm just going to show this the easiest way. The nice thing about this is, about this recipe, is that you can tailor it to your specific deck. You can do whatever you want, whatever stitch pattern or anything that you like. So how do you know how long to make your chain? This is where your deck comes in. You want to make it as wide as your deck, okay? Now, ideally, what you would do is, okay, actually, let me just go back for a second. The type of yarn that you're using is important. So if you're using a yarn like this that is either 100% wool or includes some nylon, then it's going to be stretchy. So I don't know, there's not like a ton of stretch here in this one, but, or if you can notice that, but there is quite a bit. If you are using a cotton or a linen, this one here is cotton, there's nothing, like you're not moving that. I don't know if you can hear that ping, but anyways, you're not moving that. So you, there's going to be zero give in here. I don't prefer this. I don't prefer to use cotton or linen for my pouches. A couple of reasons. One, it hurts my hands, but secondly, I like, in my opinion, the pouches look a lot better when it's slightly snug on the deck. So because everything lays out nice and flat, it stretches, you can really see the stitches. It looks a lot prettier than if it was just like all, you know, sort of wrinkled on the rippled on the deck, and it was loose. So it's kind of like a sock, right? If you think about your typical socks, they're actually a smaller diameter, typically about 10% narrower than the size of your foot. So when you put them on, it actually hugs your foot nicely. And so I want the pouches to hug the deck nicely. So ideally, at the most, you want it to be exactly the width, which is what I have here. But I'm going to do it 1 or 2 stitches narrower, okay? And the reason is because, let me just grab this end. Look how much that stretches. Here, hold on. Okay, so there's the width. Look how much that stretches, right? So that is going to work really nicely with giving you a nice fabric, a nice stitch definition with your deck. Okay, so once you have that done, so maybe 2 stitches narrower than the width of your deck, or remember, if you're doing the envelope style, then you want to do the height of your deck, not the width. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1 because we want to go up, and then what we're going to do, so see how you have all your little V's, we're going to do a single chain. So I like to do a single crochet for the bottom of the deck. Actually, I'm just going to show you that here. So this is a nice thick fabric, and then when you go here, you can see that the holes are bigger. This is double crochet, which has larger holes, and this is nice and thick. There's nothing. And that's just personal preference. You can do whatever you want. You can do the entire deck like this. You can do this. You can even do different patterns. You do you, but this is what I'm going to do. So we are going to single crochet all the way across, and I'm probably going to fast forward this. It's hard to do this from behind a Kleenex box. or a tripod. Sorry, my nails are, and my hands are looking a little bit rough today. Did have them all pretty for my trip, but they kind of got wrecked. Okay, so we've got to the end. Okay, so we're at the end. We have this. So all we're gonna do, we're gonna switch around. So I say I assume that people have the basics for crochet, and then what do? I start talking about some basics. So my apologies is probably going to be a little bit of a hybrid. Anyway, so I chained up one, and we're just going to do the same thing, okay? And we're just going to keep doing that. We're just going to keep going back and forth and back and forth. And how long do we do that? I will show you right now. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. My apologies if you can hear my son on the phone with his friends. So basically you're customizing it to your particular deck. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure it against your deck, and we're going to keep going until it is as tall as the deck, okay? Which for me is probably a couple more rows. So I'm going to just fast forward to this.
I'm just going to come back when I'm done.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna slow this down again just to mention a couple of things, which I should have mentioned at the beginning. Number one is I'm not a crochet teacher. My crochet skills are fairly rudimentary. I've crocheted a lot of things. They tend to be fairly simple things, and like I said, I know the basics. So if you are an expert crocheter, please don't hate me. I should not be teaching anybody, but I'm just showing the basics, okay? So for those who are not big crocheters, I do want to mention a couple of things. One is there's no yarn police, okay? So you do whatever works for you. Now, when you're doing this single crochet, so you see you have the V's, right? All pointed towards that way. And my preference is to go through the entire V. So I have two strands of yarn on my hook, okay? But you don't have to. You could go through the first one. You can go through the first one, the one that's closer to you. You can go through the one that's at the back as well, okay? Anyways, I'll be back when I am done with this piece of fabric.